Tonight, a pastor and wife charged with allegedly sexually abusing their teen daughter. We've got the details tonight. Also, a 20-year-old jailed for the part he played in assaulting a 12-year-old. And later, a new home for social services. But the Prime Minister says it's more about the people. Eyewitness News starts now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Janaea Noel. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight, a pastor is now facing serious sex crime charges, accused of molesting his teenage stepdaughter 3 times over a 3-year period. The 45-year-old Nassau man was charged with 3 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse with a dependent, but he wasn't the only one on the docket. His wife, the victim's mother, has been charged with failing to report the alleged abuse. Prosecutors say the abuse spanning from December of 2022 to February 10th of this year, when the girl was between the ages of 15 and 17. They claim the mother also failing to report the abuse back in June of last year. Now, neither defendant was required to enter a plea. Bail has been denied. Both are expected back in court on June 30th for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. In the meantime, they'll remain at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. It's a story we are continuing to follow. Still on court news tonight, years after a preteen girl fell victim to heinous acts of sex crimes, a sentence has been handed down, one of the 2 men who reportedly violated her. However, the sentence is not sitting well with officials and the public, who argue that the court has failed the nation's daughters once again. Our Jose Etienne joining me live in studio to further discuss. Jose?
Janaea, it's another bleak reminder of what many outraged residents call a flawed justice system, where a man who recorded the sexual assault of a 12-year-old girl receives just a 5-year sentence. The public outrage comes as no surprise, and neither does the growing sense of hopelessness that anything will change. But one cabinet minister says it all boils down to a single issue.
We have to start talking about sentencing reform.
And that's where the debate lies. Many believe the courts aren't delivering justice strong enough to match the crimes. Minister Pierre Glover-Roll is now joining the call for policymakers and the judiciary to step up.
We need clearer stance on sexual violence against minors. And it's that plain and it's that simple for me.
Her demand comes in the wake of a case involving Jean Saint-Hilaire, who accepted a plea deal for abetment to unlawful sexual intercourse and child pornography, crimes he committed at just 20 years old. Prosecutors say he didn't just stand by. He recorded his accomplice sexually assaulting the child.
He's equally as guilty as the person who actually penetrated the girl.
But the Supreme Court ruled otherwise, sentencing Saint-Hilaire to just 5 years, with credit for time already spent on remand since 2023.
We have to establish, I think, a higher baseline maybe for sentencing. Maybe we start at 20, 30 years. We can consider removal or a significant reduction of sentencing discounts. I heard that in one of the recent cases that there was a sentencing discount, especially where minors are involved.
The judiciary has long faced criticism over cases like these, where offenders appear to walk away with what many see as a slap on the wrist. But the courts are bound by existing laws that allow room for several contributing factors.
Sometimes it's a first offender. Sometimes there are expressions of remorse. There has been plea arrangements or plea agreements. But unfortunately, that causes the maximum sentence to not be applied.
Now, until lawmakers and the judiciary convene to raise the bar, many fear this cycle will continue, and the message to predators remains far too weak. Janelle?
Thanks so much, Jose. Meantime, the top cop standing firm, the Commissioner of Police, Shanta Knowles, pushing back, making it clear tonight that her officers treat all crime matters with the seriousness they deserve. Her comments coming in response to an Eyewitness News question following frustration from families, including the loved ones of 24-year-old Quintero Arnett, who was gunned down right in front of his young daughter. His family, like others, believe their cries for justice are not being met with the urgency they expect.
I hope that the public understands that we treat all matters with the same urgency. We work with the members of the public for information. If we have information or evidence, we work with that. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have sufficient information to move forward with that case. It does not mean that the case is dead. It's never going to be dead. Those matters remain open forever. There is no statute of limitation on homicide matters. And so I want to invite the family to come into our office so that we can give them an update on their matter on the matter involving their family member. Again, we take all matters seriously. None is more important than the other. We are here to serve the Bahamian people and not a specific grouping of Bahamian people.
Well, this just in from police, they've reportedly captured Ronald Telford. He was one of the men wanted in that daylight robbery or botched armed robbery that went bad on Sunday that claimed the life of one of the assailants and also a police inspector, Lennox Williams. Again, police capturing Ronald Telford. For more on this, you can log on to our website, ewnews.com. It's a story we are continuing to follow tonight. Well, on to some other news. The national budget for this year themed Expanding Opportunities Island by Island has officially cleared the lower chamber following weeks of heated debate. Members of Parliament wrapping up in the early hours Friday, giving the green light to the Davis administration's fiscal plan, headlining the budget a projected surplus and a major VAT reduction, value-added tax dropping 10% across the board with essential items like medication, unprocessed foods, and feminine products slashed to just 5%. Also in focus, millions being pumped into education and infrastructure, pay raises for public servants, and island-wide development projects. This is likely the last full budget from the Davis administration before the next general election. The debate now moving to the Senate, which is expected to sign off before the July 1st deadline. Well, allegations of mistreatment are rocking the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation as employees speak out against the conduct of the company's director. Workers are calling for his immediate removal, citing what they describe as a toxic and oppressive working environment. Lyndon Ritchie Jr. has the details in this report.
It's been overbearing. People at Antiquities and Monuments, they have had enough.
In any of my previous employers, I've never experienced this.
The employees of the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation say they have had enough, alleging toxic treatment at the hands of the corporation's director. Today, they took their frustrations public, gathering outside of the Bahamas Public Services Union to air their grievances. Standing shoulder to shoulder with them, BPSU President Kimsley Ferguson, who says the workplace conditions have taken a mental toll on his members.
They're all walking on eggshells. The people are oppressed and depressed.
Two of the employees, Lorenzo Lewis, the museum's only IT officer, and Kevin Bethel, chief of security, tells Eyewitness News they feel targeted and unsafe.
They have me on leave with no return date.
Did they tell you why you
No.
were put on leave?
No.
I was terminated. The only thing I could think about was my family. And I was suspended, but it was recanted and based on the fact that the union spoke up for me.
Ferguson claims he's tried to intervene, writing letters and making calls, but say those attempts have fallen on deaf ears.
Not conducive to productivity. We would have had relationships with previous directors, and it has never gotten toxic.
We did reach out to the director for comment. He declined, saying he's not ready to speak just yet. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, education union heads tonight chiming in on the discussion surrounding the scouting of teachers from abroad to fill the gaps following the loss of a number of Cuban educators. While government has in part announced their plan, these stakeholders suggest that international help should be the last resort. Our Janelle Longley has the details tonight.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson suggesting that government's decision to look to countries like the United Kingdom, Ghana, and Canada to fill teaching voids left by Cuban educators may be outside of our price range, revealing that government only signed off on salary increases to the tune of just over $28,000 from the starting salary of just over $25,000, and the highest paid offering $43,000.
So I wonder which teachers are going to leave the United States, where their salaries range from $42,000 to $71,000 per year, with the average teacher's salary of $63,000. And Canada's salaries range from $53,000 to $95,000 per year, with an average salary of $69,000.
The United States investigations into alleged labor abuse have seemingly forced the government's hand, and they've canceled all contracts for those employed. The announcement's being made in Parliament just this week. The teachers' union president suggests, however, that the decision was made long before the announcement came out.
Recruitment exercise where a Bahamian delegation travels to Cuba was canceled April and May of this year, 2025.
While Stephen McPhee, president of the Bahamas Educators Managerial Union, who also serves on a Caribbean Educators Union, believes that the price tag of said countries may be a strain on the public purse, he suggests that government should consider looking within the region. While the Bahamas has not signed on to the Caribbean free movement trade that allows Caribbean professionals to work within member countries with ease, he says the idea may be worth exploring.
In terms of salary base and benefits, pound for pound, we in the Caribbean, we sit on top of the others.
Now, year after year, hundreds graduate from the University of the Bahamas, and among those students are those who get grants from government to study education. McPhee says government should consider engaging those individuals to help out in the areas of special education, technical courses, and the sciences.
Also, pulled it now. A large number of them who've been probably sitting home unemployed citizens are going to now have the opportunity to be employed to fill the various voids.
The graduates from the University of the Bahamas, we have interviewed them already. They are our prospective hirees, although we do not go to our CARICOM partners. That's our agreement. And we're looking to fill those posts also with those persons who would have retired.
Janelle Longley, Eyewitness News.
Well, nearly 2 years after it was formed in the wake of political upheaval, the Immigration Commission has completed its draft report and is preparing to present it to Prime Minister Philip Davis. This much coming from Press Secretary Keishla Adderley, who revealed at a press conference at the Office of the Prime Minister on Thursday that the Commission conducted an assessment of immigration operations in New Providence and the Family Islands. The Commission was announced back in October of 2023 following leaked documents raising concern about former Immigration Minister Keith Bell's handling of the Immigration Department. There was concerns that he was abusing his power while also infringing upon the former Immigration Director. At the time, the Davis administration presented the body as a key step toward reforming immigration policy and also restoring public trust. Since its launch, however, the government has released almost no information about the Commission's deliberations, progress, or its findings.
Well, we've been in touch with the Immigration Commission, which is led by Ms. Alexandra Hall. We know that the draft report has been completed. It will, of course, be discussed and reviewed with the Prime Minister, who has mandated that the Commission look at aspects of immigration, including the day-to-day operations of the Immigration Department, personnel matters within the Immigration Department, and legislation related to immigration across the Bahamas. They've done that very comprehensive review, not only in New Providence, but throughout the Family Islands as well. They will report to the Prime Minister soon, and of course, the process will also include consultation with stakeholders and with members of the public before action is taken, what action is decided, is taken to make whatever adjustments are deemed necessary.
On to some other news. A red letter day in social support in the country. Prime Minister Philip Davis and Social Services Minister Miles Larota officially cutting the ribbon on a newly renovated headquarters for the Department of Social Services, the revamped facility at Sunshine Plaza on Blue Hill Road. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony Friday, the Prime Minister underscoring his government's focus on strengthening the social safety net, saying the newly upgraded space is more than just a building. He says it's a commitment to creating a more efficient and compassionate system for those in need, adding that improving working conditions for staff and creating a more welcoming environment for clients, he says, is key to delivering services with dignity and respect.
I could care less about the paint on the walls or the size of the conference room. What I care about, what I would always care about, is how we treat people who come into this room. Our solemn duty to help those who need it most. to go the extra mile, to open every door, to exhaust every resource. If it means cutting red tape, then let us cut it. If it means finding one more dollar, then let's find it. I would rather our government do too much for someone in need than to be remembered for doing too little. When you walk into the Department of Social Services, you should be met with respect, not suspicion, with warmth.
Well, the ceremony kicking off with lively performances from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Pop Band and the Department of Social Services Choir, setting the tone for a celebratory occasion. Also in attendance, the Minister of Social Services, Miles Lorota, praising his team for their tireless efforts in bringing the vision to life. He noted that the transformation of the headquarters is a direct reflection of their dedication to public service and the communities that they serve.
I just want to tell them that I'm very proud and pleased of the work that they do and continue to do. To our guests, some of you who are visiting this location for the first time, I extend a warm welcome to the Department of Social Services, one of several areas under the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting. I usually give a disclaimer, and that is the fact that we are not one of those sexy ministries. We are very much hands-on, constantly interacting with the public and in the trenches. We are the arm of the government that is expected to reach the poorest among us. We've also been deemed the Jesus ministry by some, a label we proudly bear.
Meantime, opposition Senator Maxine Seymour crying shame on the Davis administration over its reported failure to provide a women's shelter years after promising that, and she says it's now turned empty. She's making those comments in light of government officials commissioning the newly renovated Department of Social Services headquarters, even while the women's shelter has yet to get off the ground.
While I am happy to see that the Department of Social Services now has a new headquarters, I cannot understand how it is that this administration can proudly open up a new office facility when for a fourth consecutive budget, we've been promised a shelter, a government-sponsored shelter that is yet to surface. We have been given multiple deadlines. The goalpost keeps moving. The description of the building keeps changing. We've been told that they would purchase, then we've been told that they would rent, and then we've been told that they would renovate, and then we've been told that it's more than one. But I don't know if anyone has actually tangibly seen or visited this planned domestic violence shelter. And so the Department of Social Services having an updated and modernized office space might be commendable, but at the end of the day, there are people who are hurting in our society who need places to go. There are homeless persons who need places to live. There are abused women and children who need to seek refuge and shelter and to escape the dangers of life that exist within their homes. And so that is what will excite me.
Well, tonight, a major development in the region's fight against cancer. Day 3 of the Caribbean College of Servants Conference, turning heads as a world-renowned cancer surgeon sounds the alarm on rising cases and reveals what could be a game changer in treatment for the region. The doctor, he's one of the Baptist Health Miami Cancer Institute, is one of the leading voices in urology, and he's making a call for action. Delano Roker has the details tonight.
Prostate, bladder, and kidney cancers are on the rise in the Caribbean, and Dr. Manoharan says delayed screenings and limited access to specialized care are costing lives. However, he does share some of the modern advancements in medical science.
Now we have a number of new things available for us. We have other blood tests. I think we have a wonderful talk today in the session on liquid biopsy as well. And we have newer blood tests called ISO-PSA, 4K tests, and many things are available. But most importantly, we have what is called as a 3 Tesla multiparametric MRI, which is one of the best tests available for us to screen for prostate cancer lesions.
From precision biopsies to robotic surgery, Dr. Manoharan says the future of cancer treatment is here.
The changes in the genomics happen. We are able to identify the tumor cells and what kind of genomic changes are happening in them so that we can provide them personalized treatment for them. One particular drug may work for this particular cancer which is mutated, and it may not work for another one. So we have a platform now, different platforms, commercial platforms. You put the tumor through that, and it gives you genomic profiling of that tumor. And from that, I can identify this drug will work, this will not work, and I can precisely give that drug to the person.
But it's not just about medicine, it's about mindset. Dr. Manoharan stating some physicians have to be mindful when treating their patients.
Like everybody is classified together as an African Americans, and we need to segregate that. The African American, their gene pool is very different from Haitians and Caribbeans. I think there's a role of genetics and diets and other things make a difference for them. Those patients, particularly together with the doctors and the urologists, the screening should start earlier and should be more intense, and awareness should be made at different levels, from schools to churches to health centers. It needs to be made. Only when you can identify them early, you can address them effectively, I think.
As the region grapples with a rising cancer burden, the message is clear: screen early, treat fast, and break the stigma.
Insurance is very different, and the Baptist International will facilitate and help you how to get the best out of the things so that the financial burden for the patient is less. But remember, the Miami Cancer Institute and Baptist Health South Florida is a nonprofit institution, and patient is more important. And if the patient is not able to afford it, they can always make a plea to the hospital, and they'll do their best either through philanthropic support, or there's the financial counselors, or other people are there to help these patients.
Delana Roker, Eyewitness News.
Well, if you've got a news tip or if you've seen news in the making, call the Ion News hotline 397-6397. We also invite you to send your letters to the editor for publication on all of our social media platforms, eyewitnessnewsbahamas@gmail.com. And if you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube page, share your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section. We want to hear from you. We're just getting started in Eyewitness News tonight. But when we come back, a job fair launch to support persons with disabilities. We've got that story coming up. And later tonight, young women are being celebrated. We'll tell you how sandals took the lead. We've got more on that right after this break.
While others see customers as numbers, we see our customers as people, neighbors, friends who deserve more than one-sided connections. That's why we are redefining what real connection is, by prioritizing our customers and showing our appreciation by putting our money where your loyalty is. BTC customers, claim your $200 Bahamas Air gift card when you add postpaid mobile to your internet plan. That's loyalty that flows both ways.
Mom, did you tell him that Danny went to pick up KFC?
No, wait a minute. Are we really not going to tell him we already have KFC?
Crunch the routine with a tasty KFC bucket for $20. Plus, we'll handle all the dishes. That's right. No prep, no cleanup, no stress. KFC, it's finger licking good.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this brings great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community, also help with the education of our kids in this community, and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
This segment of Eyewitness News is brought to you by EV Motors. It's your last chance to get behind the wheel and drive the evolution. Secure the Toyota BZ4X, Mercedes-Benz EQB 260, carry cargo van, or carry Elephant X7 truck with prices starting as low as $309.88 per month. Hurry before they're gone. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. As a look at your Eyewitness News gas tracker, you're getting the cheapest tonight at Esso, $5.39. Shell coming in at $5.46. Rubis, $5.48. Welcome back. You're watching Eyewitness News. Well, the Department of Labor, they're set to launch, along with the Ministry of Education's Special Education Unit, a job fair tomorrow at the ministry's Learning Resource Center in the Palmdale area from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The initiative, according to the Director of Labor, Habert Thompson, is being held in recognition of Disability Awareness Month, being celebrated every June. It's also in an effort to help those with disabilities who struggled with securing gainful employment to get a helping hand.
According to the Bahamas Disability Act, for every 100 persons employed, there should be at least one differently able employee. And I'm not going to take the steps to seek to enforce this particular piece of legislation, but I would just ask the corporate Bahamas and the business community to be very cognizant about this particular piece of legislation. It is in law, and so we're expecting companies and businesses that employ over 100 persons to at least take the steps to try to employ a differently able person. And if you need our assistance, we're here at the Department of Labor and the Ministry of Education. We can help recruit a differently able person to join your team.
Thompson's comments echoed by Assistant Director of Education Leisha Burrows, Manager of Public Employment Services at the Department of Labor, Simone Thurston.
In terms of being very focused, we have persons who are high performing, very reliable, consistent, attendance, and so in many cases they may be offering some of the qualities that businesses are looking for that may not even be current, may be present in some of their current employees.
Differently able persons, they have many different issues. You're not only thinking about somebody who needs a ramp to wheel their wheelchair. It may be somebody who has ADH. It may be somebody with a slight hearing impairment. So there are various issues that the person may be challenged with.
Well, Sandoz Royal Bahamian doing their part to give back to the local community. This week, the Hotels Foundation invited over 40 female students of the S.E. McPherson Junior High School's Diamond Club to an etiquette retreat on the hotel property, the event being organized by Public Relations Manager Siobhan Keel Watson, who said that the foundation has long been a helping hand to the Bahamian community, and this retreat, a new and different way of giving back, was no different. Her efforts being supported by her fellow Public Relations Manager Renee Delion Lightborn.
We want them to understand their value and worth. And this was one way of getting them on the outside, so that they can have a wonderful experience. So we do have a banqueting team that's heading the charge with this particular event. And they are truly enjoying themselves. They're enjoying a 3-course meal, and I'm sure they're going to walk away from this experience knowing a little bit more about fine dining, believing in themselves, being able to test this when they go into restaurants and go on out and about. But we're just pleased to be a community partner, to be able to partner and assist our children.
At Sandals, we are really big on family. We are really big on community. It's part of our purpose, part of our mission. That's something we take to heart. And because we know that empowered women empower the world, our mission is always to champion the growth and the confidence and the elevation of our women and our girls. We want to always create a space where our women are acknowledged and where our little girls are seen. And we believe that there are so many ways that we can get this done.
One of the teachers leading the female students in the Diamond Club, Bonnie Barnett, spoke highly of the event, saying that it's always been the mission of the club to open doors for the young women to experience and help to shape them into better individuals. One of the Diamond Club students, Markel Wilkinson, also expressing gratitude for events like this one that helped to open her eyes to new lessons.
To bring the girls here
We try at the Diamond Club, we give them as much exposure as possible. So this is just another avenue for us exposing them to something new, something different. Me, myself, I'm experiencing the new etiquette technique because, you know, when you go out, you think you're doing it right, but then you actually find out that, hey, this is the way it's actually supposed to be done. So, yeah.
I've learned that when you're eating, you're supposed to eat from the outside in. I thought it was the inside out at first. So I was eating all this wrong this entire time. And I've also learned that when you go to a restaurant, you're supposed to speak up about your allergies. It's not like they're mind readers.
Well, the Bahamas has crowned its first Miss Teen Mundial 2025, who's already aiming for the global stage. Kaylee Carey will represent the nation next month at the prestigious Miss Teen Mundial pageant. Delano Roker has the details tonight.
With grace, pride, and purpose, 18-year-old University of the Bahamas student Kylie Carey is ready to represent as she competes in El Salvador this July at the Miss Teen Mundial 2025 pageant. But for Carey, her title is beyond being from the Bahamas. It's about being a voice for it.
I'm so thankful to God that I have this experience, and I intend to go forth and show our Bahamian authenticity and just shine. I see this as an opportunity to grow within myself, to foster international connections with the other amazing contestants, and to just show them what Bahamian culture is.
The crown comes with more than sparkle to her. It symbolizes purpose.
I want to inspire. My platform is Finding Purpose, and it motivates young people to find meaning and happiness in their lives. So I want to inspire them to chase their goals and fulfill their dreams, even if it seems impossible.
Carey says that even after the competition, she intends to carry on her community activities.
My parents have always been active in community service since I was young, and so I intend to continue that throughout the rest of my life. Along with that, I love and I will continue to share my platform, which is Finding Purpose, like I mentioned before, and to inspire young people, to inspire the youth to just grow and to just show themselves authentically.
And for those who think pageantry is just about glitz and gowns, Carey is committed to change that opinion.
I want people to know that it goes way beyond the sash and the crown. It comes from deep within you. It comes from your motivation, what your drive is to win, and what your reigning goals are. Pageantry is a lifelong experience and a lesson you will always carry with you.
Delana Roker, Eyewitness News.
Well, food vendors and live entertainment expected to take over Awaki tomorrow as organizers prepare for a community-centered culinary event. Our intern Layla Sands has the details tonight.
A unique culinary experience is coming to Awaki tomorrow as the Hispanic Restaurant Association hosts its first ever pulled pork festival, blending Latin flavors with Bahamian tradition. President of the association, John Hamiro, says the event is all about bringing cultures together through food.
We're going to have not only Hispanic food, Latin vendors, but also Bahamian. We're going to have that. So we're going to have this Latin Bahamian fusion also.
Organizers say guests can expect a full lineup of food, vendors, competition, and live entertainment throughout the day.
We're going to have like 14 different Hispanic vendors, food. We're going to have a little pulled pork competition where we're going to be judging. You know, of course, I get the quality control, you know, and we're going to have salsa dancing. We're going to have great music. They're going to have a limbo line.
With tickets starting at $8 for kids and $20 for adults, Hamiro encourages everyone to come out and be a part of the experience.
They are selling tickets. Just come by. You can buy a ticket right as you come in and enjoy the great food.
The Pulled Pork Festival will run from 3 to 11 p.m. at Awaki. Layla Sands, Eyewitness News.
Well, the Bahamas is drafting a national artificial intelligence policy to drive innovation, create quality jobs, and ensure responsible tech use. Officials say urgent action is needed as AI transforms industries like tourism, finance, healthcare, and law. We turn to social media to get the public's opinion on the matter, and you were asked whether or not AI could advance or would you support the national AI policy. 62% of participants voting yes, 26% voting no, and 12% voting that you were not sure. Well, you were also asked what concerns, if any, do you have about the rise of AI in the country. Comments expressed concerns about job loss, poor infrastructure, and the lack of a local tech industry. Many feel that the government should focus on basic needs first, like cleanliness and public service, before investing in advanced technology. Also, others are calling for more transparency and public education on AI risk and also its benefit, warning against blindly following global trends without local readiness. Be sure to continue to participate in our Eyewitness News daily polls. Well, still to come in Eyewitness News tonight, 7 years after Eyewitness News launched, one of our beloved says farewell. We've got the details coming up, but first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
Every island in the Bahamas is unique, but our people unite us. We're ambitious, and with the right opportunities, we can achieve extraordinary things. That's why this year's budget makes historic investments in education, training, and upskilling for anyone ready to move from surviving to thriving. For the parents seeking security, the dreamer wanting a stake in the economy, the builder of a better life, this budget is for you. We are stepping into a new era of rapid change and real opportunity. And our success depends on how well we prepare our people to thrive in a tech-driven world. With smarter infrastructure, cleaner energy, and stronger laws already in motion, we are laying the foundation for an economy that works for everyone. Because opportunity only matters if people can reach it. That's why we are investing in education, backing small businesses, and breaking down barriers to build a fairer, more inclusive Bahamas.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Welcome back. Well, more than 100 residents in Grand Bahama benefiting from a local outreach effort undertaken by the Pro-Cathedral Christ the King Anglican Church is a community-based program, The Lord's Kitchen, assisted by volunteers from the Cable Bahamas group of companies. They provided warm meals and drinks to the underprivileged. The outreach program happens bi-weekly on Friday mornings. Volunteers also deliver food to local shelters for individuals who are unable to make it to the Lord's Kitchen. Since Hurricane Dorian, which left many homeless and displaced on the island, the Lord's Kitchen has remained a source of nourishment and comfort for Grand Bahamians facing hard times. Yvonne Pearson of Christ the King shares about this ongoing initiative.
That has been going on for many years, but since Hurricane Dorian, we now started the way we are doing, working now. And we used to serve food every Friday. But now we serve twice a month. And we serve a variety of dishes. We would have, for example, we'd have curry chicken, barbecue chicken, baked chicken, steamed chicken, white rice, peas and rice, beans and rice, coleslaw, and beets. And we'd also give them a bottle of water. And on special occasions, we'd also give them some sweets, like cakes or something of that sort. Here in Grand Bahama, we would seem to have a lot of people who are in need of food. And so we can see sometimes we serve up to 500 plates on a Friday. And so it's really needed, and I'm so happy that our church is able to do something like this.
Director of Customer Experience within the Cable Bahamas group of companies, Cindy Arthur, says social responsibility is a big part of the company's core values. So she says it was second nature for 12 of the team members to lend a helping hand today.
As a Bahamian company, it is important for us to support this initiative because giving back is who we are. For 30 years, Cable Bahamas has stood with our communities, and this reflects our ongoing commitment to social responsibility. It is about being more than a provider. It's about being a true partner in building a stronger, more connected Bahamas.
Over the last 6 months, Arthur O'Sealy has traveled to the island of Grand Bahama to cover the stories of Grand Bahamians, whether triumph or failure, victory or struggle. We've heard from residents, business owners, government officials, and principals of the Grand Bahama Port Authority for their take on what the future of Grand Bahama's economy looks like and if there's any truth behind the idea that Grand Bahama's economy is on the upswing. Well, tonight, in his wrap-up of the 6-month series, Theo takes a unique dive into a community experience that's enjoyed by tourists and locals alike, and what from we've been told, he's ending the night by shaking a leg on the dance floor. Let's take a look.
A night of fun and dancing in the mix of tourists and locals alike and at a local business seaside. Absolutely sign me up. Tonight's Eye on Grand Bahama takes us to Smith's Point. Outriggers Beach Club is the name. It's a local business that's been part of the fish fry experience for over 50 years now. Its owner Marcel Wilson shared that the business actually started as a fundraiser to help rebuild a local church that had burnt to the ground.
We raised enough funds to build a church back. After we build the church back, people continue to come. The taxi drivers start bringing the tourists, and the rest is history.
After 10 years in business, the Outriggers Beach Club started something pretty unique on Wednesday nights, a line dancing beach party. And now, 40 years later, it's quite the midweek Wednesday boogie down.
Oh, well, not only the line dancers spearhead the whole thing, and it encouraged the tourists to get in and get involved and you see what's going on behind us.
Lauren Wimberly of Florida was more than happy to share her experience with us.
So far, it's been amazing. The food has been great, and the dancing has been amazing, so I'm having a good time.
You look like you're a pro out there. You've done this before.
I am not a pro, but I am trying really hard.
The fun and all the action? Blame it on lead line dancing instructor Luckner Timothy.
For some odd reason, the fish fry is just popular. People love coming out to the fish fry, and I have a lot of people that basically message me online, and they want to learn the dances, so I come out, I teach them some of the line dances. I teach about 13 classes a week, so I teach tourists the line dances, and then they come out here, and then they pretty much do the line dances.
But don't be fooled. It's not all foreigners flocking for the fun.
They look like they're tourists that just come and visit, but most of them are local. Some of them work at the university. Some of them, they have homes here. So a lot of them are basically residents of me. And they come out, they dance, they love to enjoy it, and they come out every Wednesday. And I had to talk a lot of them into coming out and doing it. But once they break out their shyness, now it's just like, they just wild. They love it.
And as for the bounce back of tourism on island, Wilson remains optimistic.
You know, if a lot of people just rise up. There is although we're going through a little hardship, if you rise up, you could find some positive things. All you got to do is just stay steadfast and stay positive.
Now for the elephant in the room. Did I take over the dance floor? The answer is yes, but not by choice. So over the last 6 months in Grand Bahama, I made a few friends of my own, and serial entrepreneur Sarah Kirby is one of them. Now, I lost a bet to Sarah back in May, and the consequence? I had to line dance on camera for all to see. And what better way than to end my 6-month series here on Grand Bahama Island than to spend a night of fun, festivities, food, and laughter with so many Grand Bahamians and tourists alike. Over the last 6 months, I've told so many stories of failure to triumph. Is Grand Bahama truly on a rebound? The ball is now in your court, Grand Bahama, and Bahamians at large. You do the math. Reporting from Grand Bahama Island and signing off for the last time, I'm Theo Seeley, Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Theo. Well, finally, he's been here since the inception. He helped to craft the news product into what we've come to love today as Eyewitness News. From his hard-hitting field reports to his charismatic presence on the news desk. But even after 7 wonderful years, our Eyewitness News is bidding farewell tonight to one of our very own, Theo Seeley. Our Janelle Longley has this report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Theo Seeley. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight.
7 years of grit.
Our news team inspected the western and eastern stalls here at Arawaki on Wednesday.
Hard-hitting stories.
So this is your family that you met up with on the road?
That's my sister. That's my other sister.
And a charm.
They also have a family of livestock here on property, like these goat, chicken, pigs.
Theo Seeley has become not just a pillar to the Eyewitness News brand, but to the news industry of the Bahamas, with his relentless pursuit of the big story, whether political, criminal, governmental, or full of heart.
How much black Bahamians we hauled before these courts with their face on camera and they wasn't even guilty. This man is accused of fraud and stealing billions of dollars from people, and we can't get a shot of his face because this short little Mr. Toot decided we are creating an obstruction. To what? What are we obstructing?
Through the years, the Bahamas and sometimes even the world watched as he told the stories of our city, islands, and country to the masses, setting a standard hard to compare.
Today, coming to you live from the Free National Movement headquarters here on Mackey Street, where the political fever is intensifying. Dozens of party supporters, as you can see, have gathered behind me here.
Most notable among his hard-hitting archives, his coverage of the Sam Bankman-Fried saga.
Eyewitness News is coming to you live from the Nassau Street Magistrates Court this morning, where it is expected that the once crypto giant Sam Bankman-Fried is expected to be hauled before the magistrates' court. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested yesterday by Bahamians.
The death of Her Majesty the Queen.
Coming to you live from just a few steps away from Buckingham Palace. It's an historic day not only for Brits but for residents of the entire Commonwealth, as Britain's longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has died at the age of 96.
And the story that started it all, his coverage of Hurricane Dorian in 2019.
We are now in the mud, a community that has been leveled by the catastrophic 5 storm. Dozens of persons now scavenging through what remains.
But his contribution did not end there. In 7 years, Seeley climbed from reporter to senior reporter to digital editor, carving out and further solidifying Eyewitness News' position as the leading news organization, but in the digital sphere. A man, a journalist, a friend, to whom this organization regrettably bids farewell.
On behalf of all of us here and myself, I am truly grateful and thankful for the contribution that you've made to Eyewitness News for the past 7.5 years. I hope that you go into this new journey, into this new chapter, taking all that you've learned here.
Your stories have enlightened, they have inspired, and you've brought credibility to the brand. And in journalism, the ethos of credibility goes so far. Because if someone trusts you with their story, they want to tell it. Because they trust you to tell it correctly, accurately, and with balance. You've done that.
Ideas without execution are meaningless. So along with the vision, it took a very, very, very competent, strong, and dedicated team, which you were a part of, to actually get to the point where we got.
Janelle Longley, Eyewitness News.
Well, Theo, from the very first day we walked into the Eyewitness newsroom together, you brought a presence, unmistakable, unapologetic, and unforgettable. You didn't just report the news, but you stood as one of the first pillars with me. You owned your moments, held space for the truth, and left an impression that will outlive these headlines. As your news director, I've watched you grow, lead, and elevate our coverage, sometimes with fire, sometimes with finesse, but also with authenticity. And as your friend, I've also seen the heart behind the hustle. Theo, you've been more than a colleague, you've been family. The laughs, the debates, the deadlines, we will miss it all. And as you step into your next chapter, know that you leave behind a legacy of fearless journalism and unmatched commitment. Our doors are open, and so are our hearts. Farewell, Theo, and once again, thank you. Still to come in Eyewitness News tonight, Laurencia Smith has your latest check on sports right after this break.
Join us for the Pulled Pork Festival at Arawak Key, June 21st, 3 p.m. through 11 p.m. Enjoy a delicious day featuring a variety of Hispanic cuisine and Bahamian dishes, all inspired by a farm-to-table theme. Savor the flavors and explore a vibrant culinary showcase. Whether you're a food lover, a family looking for a great day out, or a fan of live music and competitions, this festival has something for everyone. Tickets can be purchased online, cashandgobahamas.com/event-tickets.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm a survey enumerator with the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, or BNSI. For the next few months, we will be conducting the Household Expenditure Survey on various islands.
You might be wondering, why is this survey important? Well, it helps us to determine the poverty line and assess how to ensure everyone has access to the basic services they need. This information is used by the government, businesses, researchers, and students to make informed decisions and plan for the future. We know that your time is valuable, which is why we've made the survey as simple and easy as possible. And don't worry, all your information you provide is confidential.
Your participation will help us gather accurate information that will benefit everyone in the Bahamas. Thank you for your cooperation and being a part of shaping the future of the Bahamas.
I want Bahama Grill when I get hungry. Call us at 356-4745. Barbecue pork ribs or veggie back and the brisket. You got to try that. Add mac and cheese, potato salad, plantain and rice. I go too. Call 356-4745. I want Bahama Grill, morning, noon, or night. Donkey Kong Bosco, grill or crack some soup and snapper. Fresh veg, green salad, even roast corn. Once you visit Bahama Grill, you want to come back.
Eyewitness Sports is brought to you by 103.5 The Beat.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Eyewitness Sports. I'm Laurencia Smith. Thanks for joining us. Topping our sports roundup tonight, we're on the pool deck. Day 2 of the 53rd Bahamas Aquatics National Swimming Championships are underway at this hour over at the Betty Kelly Kenny Aquatic Center. And Mako Aquatics has taken a commanding lead after day 1 of competition with 677 points as they're looking to swim to their 7th national title. Now, we caught up with the club's head coach, Trevano McPhee, on the pool deck after Friday's morning session, and he says that his swimmers' hard work is paying off.
Well, we passed our expectations. We had a lot of medals won, a lot of personal best times, and surprisingly, we had a lot of records broken last night and then again this morning. So very pleased with the performance. We're coming out, and it looks like we're headed for 7 straight. We've been trusting the process. It takes hard work. It takes determination, but I always think it's a collective effort from everyone, right? The parents, the swimmers, the coaches, giving these athletes the support that they need.
Alpha Aquatics is in second place with 316 points, while the Barracudas are rounding up the top three with 301 points. Some 500 swimmers are expected to compete in this weekend's nationals. The meantime, McPhee stressed the importance of having good sportsmanship.
You know, I'm familiar with from the national team, so seeing them swim well is always good. I always, try, pull them on the side and just, congratulate them. Keep it up. Bahamas is doing well in swimming. We are dominating the region. So on winning, but good sportsmanship as well, right? So you want to build that and just see the character of swimming and everyone dominating the region.
Now stay tuned to Eyewitness Sports for the latest details from the Nationals. Now let's head on over to the cricket field. The Bahamas national cricket team is continuing to struggle at the 2025 ICC Men's T20 World Cup America's Regional Final. Playing at the Magic Leaf Cricket Club in King City, Ontario, Team Bahamas dropped their fourth straight match. This time they fell to Bermuda by 26 runs on Thursday. Charged early and never looked back, securing their third win in 4 games at the tournament. Well, that's what's making sports at this hour. I'm Laurencia Smith. Stay tuned for more news on the other side of the break.
Join us for the Pulled Pork Festival at Arawak Key, June 21st, 3 p.m. through 11 p.m. Enjoy a delicious day featuring a variety of Hispanic cuisine and Bahamian dishes, all inspired by a farm-to-table theme. Savor the flavors and explore a vibrant culinary showcase. Whether you're a food lover, a family looking for a great day out, or a fan of live music and competitions, this festival has something for everyone. Tickets can be purchased online, cashandgobahamas.com/event-tickets.
We're back! Playhouse and Sound Investment presents your Back to the 90s Volume 11, July 12th at Breezers. From Volume 1 to Volume 10, Playhouse brings to you the most anticipated Back to the 90s party yet. July 12th at Breezers. Party with some of your favorite Playhouse DJs, Big L, AI, Pressure, alongside Extra Large and DJ Tank with special guest DJs like Tiny. Hosted by yours truly, Joe Cools, and my brother, DJ Bravo. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Rock the night away with Reggie Snapper, performing live, Kimbo King, modeling, and so much more. Early bird tickets are limited. Get yours today. Tickets available. Cash and Go, Tropics, On the Bay, and any of your favorite Playhouse DJs. For tables or Skybox, contacts 819-2900. Playhouse, Back to the 90s. Sponsored by Sound Investment, Guinness, Hennessy, Paradise Games, Tropics on the Bay, Cash and Go, and Alive.
Measles is on the rise around the world, and the Bahamas is at risk,
which makes us very vulnerable as a nation for the possible outbreak of measles cases.
Every Saturday in May from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Ministry of Health and Wellness will host MMR immunization visits in South Beach, Coconut Grove, Fox Hill, and Elizabeth Estates. Clinics in these areas will remain open until 8 p.m. twice per week. Get your child immunized now.
Join us on Social Mania, a new and dynamic game show based on the Ministry of Education's primary and junior high school social studies curriculum. Students from schools across the Bahamas go head to head as their knowledge of social studies is challenged. In this episode, Woodcock Primary battles with Columbus Primary. Which school will emerge as winner? To find out, join us as these two schools engage in intense competition. Don't miss it!
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Well, that wraps up news this Friday, but coming up and beyond the headlines with Shanique Miller, a look at this week's top stories with hot topics. That's coming up and beyond the headlines. It starts right after this. That does it for us here at Eyewitness News. It's certainly been a pleasure having you in our company tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Janae Nawal saying good night, be safe, have a great weekend. I'll see you in a week.
Island Lock, we take sports seriously. Get ready to experience the thrill of winning anytime and any place. Bet in real time and live the thrill of every play while watching your winnings stack up. It's your chance to score big with fast payouts and a world-class experience. Get in the game and bet the Bahamian way with Island Luck Sportsbook.
We all know there are ways we can help. Your help can go even further. Be an everyday superhero. Donate to Hands for Hunger.
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, Prime Minister Davis telling the Ministry of Social Services the focus should be on people over buildings. We'll tell you the reason behind these comments today. Also tonight, teachers voicing off on the Ministry of Education's plans to recruit teachers from across the Atlantic and Canada. And so, what are they saying? Meanwhile, tonight, a woman assaulted after rendering assistance to a group of men in her business. Wait until you hear this story. And in our Week in Review segment, Davis and Pintard go head-to-head in the House of Assembly this week, the two comparing notes and performance in their elected areas. And so, who do you think was more convincing? This is Beyond the Headlines, Week in Review Fridays. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, Prime Minister Davis, the keynote speaker at the official opening of a new Ministry of Social Services headquarters that happened, of course, this morning. But it's what the Prime Minister had to say, or what his comments involved and included, is what has many people talking. And that is that the Ministry of Social Services, with so much in hand and tasked with so much, must begin not becoming so comfortable in their air-conditioned offices and nice plush headquarters, but begin reaching out to the people who need it most and put people over buildings.
I could care less about the paint on the walls or the size of the conference room. What I care about, what I would always care about, is how we treat people who come into this room. Our solemn duty to help those who need it most, to go the extra mile, to open every door, to exhaust every resource. If it means cutting red tape, then let us cut it. If it means finding $1 more, then let's find it. You know, I would rather our government do too much for someone in need than to be remembered for doing too little. When you walk into the Department of Social Services, you should be met with respect, not suspicion, with warmth.
Well, I'll tell you, there's so many people are obviously happy to hear that charge issued from Prime Minister Davis today, because if you hear the stories, there's still so much. And I'm not even going to go on the areas of like child abuse, and because you saw last week the Ministry of Social Services appeared on this very show, and they talked about the child prostitution, for example, that's happening in the Bahamas. And so there's so much going on. But let's just stick with the people who are vulnerable and in need, those who are needing assistance and looking for whatever that assistance is, rental, perhaps to have food on the table for their kids. Many of those people are still slipping through the cracks. And this is what the Prime Minister is saying to the officials at the Ministry and Department of Social Services. By the way, he did applaud the work of social workers, but he's saying, listen, you all, put some fire under what it is you're doing, because those people, there are many people out there that still need the ministry's attention and help. And so we're going to start right there this evening. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Beyond the Headlines contributors, Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquist. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Yeah, it's good to have you both here. Good to see you both. And of course, I'm so excited about another Week in Review Fridays. And so let's go. Some, of course, the stories that happened earlier today, but we, of course, have our review segment coming up. But gentlemen, the Prime Minister is saying, and listen, the time couldn't have come at a better time. Listen, you all, while the building is good, and we know social services needs its own attention and obviously they need to work in comfortable surroundings as well, but he's saying don't get caught up in this building, because this building really need to represent the amount of people being helped and served. Your thoughts?
Well, Shanique, I'm happy to see that, I guess the shift in terms of, focusing on the people. We've said over and over repeatedly that, there are a lot of people hurting in the Bahamas. We talk about, the increased inflation and things, whatever have increased across the board. We even look at the other day, I saw in the headline somewhere in terms of, last year that people were actually overpricing in food stores and different areas.
Yeah,
this is what affects persons, throughout the communities that we frequent, and all of this is what puts burden on the shoulders of the Bahamian people, especially when persons are not actually doing their jobs and going out, rather than sitting behind their plush desks. When we have so many out there hurting repeatedly over and over, people need to get out their chairs, get out there in the streets of the Bahamas to really see what's happening to Bahamians. At the end of the day, everyone has to try and do their part, but at the end of the day, we employ, whether it be social services, whether it be, price control, to go out there and continuously do their job to ensure that Bahamians are getting the help that is needed, throughout the land of the Bahamas. We know it's election time coming up, so of course, we hope this is just not a ploy that hey, we're doing for the people. This needs to start in any government, whether from start to
priority
end.
From day one,
yes. Priority from day one, the people. Not like it's not buildings, the people every day. It's happy to hear, but at the end of the day, this is something that should have been, day one to the end of whatever government's term.
No, the Prime Minister is no doubt aware of some of the problems that many Bahamians face in our country. On the part of the Kimbus, know what's going on the ground, would be very concerned. The new office that was opened today, it's a good thing. It's going to service people in that part of the New Providence that is really needed in the south, the deep south, that is needed. But most importantly, as he said, is the service that is given to those people who you don't reach, those who are hurting, that you need to do more to assist the poor, to bring them in line, to give them a halfway decent life for whatever you can do for them, you do. Because I know in many cases when I was a member of parliament, many times you would have people from social services go and assess the person's home. Say your husband just died a few months ago and they live in a martyr's home, and if the person...
And they feel the people don't need it. Isn't that like, how could you... And I know somebody may show up, someone may show up looking different than you expect the regular person to show up looking, but do not dismiss these people saying they don't need the help.
And that's very important. I want to tell you, I have some experience in that. Yeah. The lady would go there and say, well, Mr. Miller, this live in this nice home, she got a car in the yard, the living room is nice, the kitchen. What's the problem? I said, well, husband just died a few months ago. She has no children, or the child is in there to live in the States. And they just, for the life of me, couldn't figure out that this person had a need because of the type of houses they live in, and that they had a car. I think the Prime Minister is trying to instill in them that, listen, you have a job to do.
Reach every individual
and
where they
you have to go
are.
and reach those who are in need. And I applaud him for that. And they need to do more because plenty of people, like I told you last week, the lady I met in one of the fast food restaurants with 2 kids, and she's pregnant now. And most nights she sleeps in the car. And had the children go to bed at her sister's home. Those things they need to look at. I realize now, believe me, she was on welfare for a while. They gave her a job, but she's still hiding. Now, you know, I tend to blame, like all of us, the neglectful fathers that has those 2 kids with her that wouldn't do anything. It reminds me of example for the lady whose son died, God bless him, the little boy who got killed day before yesterday through Baintown. You not aware of that?
I don't.
And 3 children in the hospital now with severe burns.
Oh yes,
About
I
their
didn't hear
boys.
for that. The fire.
The fire.
The fire. But I took time
and
when I
one of them
went.
passed away.
I went and I met the mother.
Okay.
And she explained to me, Mr. Miller, what happened. I left my 3
She
children
went
here
to social services, yes.
to go to social services. I left a friend of mine or aunt there, and I told him just to look after them. I'll be right back. The aunt was taking some medication. The aunt dropped asleep. They then went into the home, the Grammy home, and they was playing with this lighter that normally it's a small stove really. And the little kid just being curious, continued to play with it, and it exploded.
My God.
And that's how he died. And the 2 other kids in the hospital severely burned. You know, and she is hurt now because people are now blaming her. What happened to her son, who's 5 years old? She has 2 twins, daughters that are 2 years old, and another little son that is 1 year old. And she's out there now, really painful. She needs a regular job to enable her. She says she's hoping to go on one of the family islands.
She's a single mother.
She's a single mother.
And this is another thing.
But fortunately for her, and I applaud her for this,
yes.
her 3 children is for 1 man.
Well, that's good.
And that don't happen in this country.
Where's the man?
He's in Andrews Waken. And she asked him if he could take 2 of the kids before this happened and let her keep 2.
Does he take care of the family, though?
He helps now and then, but him being a regular fella, I'm on the construction. You know, they go from place to place.
Yeah, but they
they're
make
the
money,
most
though.
reliable
They
in the
make money
world.
from that place to place.
And so the other, we spoke about this, I guess, sometime early in the week. But and ever since that story, I've seen it over and over. Whereas though you've seen young mothers, whether it be sometimes midnight, they're walking the streets with a young child, lifting, and I always think back, where, like you said, where are the fathers? Because at the end of the day, I strongly believe any man who procreate and have a child with a woman should make sure, I don't care what it is, make sure provide, make sure the mother of your child or your child is not walking the streets at night.
And
Making sure they're taken care of, whether you're to get a taxi to move them back and forth. I mean, this is where it hurts because we saw the high school graduation the other day.
You have
parents doing foolishness. I mean, this is to me. Man has to get, the fathers have to get involved.
You've lost your way. And men, listen. If you're not going to be around or can't afford it,
don't make babies.
Stop sipping your hands down.
It breaks my heart to see what continues to happen in this country, whereas though men are just going around thinking it's cool to just have a bunch of kids all over the place.
That's 70% of them, by the way.
Yeah, and
at least 70%.
And don't take care.
And neglectful fathers. I think we need to have some stiffer penalties in the laws that, giving a kid $50 a week just ain't gonna do it, and you miss 3 weeks out of 4. And then the poor lady got to go back to court and stay there the whole day. No one to keep the children at home. It's ridiculous, man. We got to do better. Fellas, you're embarrassing us.
And listen, procreate wisely. Choose who you're going to lay and play with, because out of that comes children. You know what I mean? And I don't want to sound harsh or insensitive, but you've got to now begin thinking of you first.
And
possibly
the child.
People, the children you will bring into the world.
Sometimes you have a lot of these young women, yes, they're only thinking of themselves. They don't think about the child.
No.
They don't think sometimes how this affects the child. How do they feed this child every day? Or especially having a child for 3-4 different men.
That's
They're
the
just trying, at the end of the day, some of these women only trying to either pay their rent, or some of them get their nails
Nickel
done,
carpet,
get
the nails
their
and the
hair
hair,
done.
you know.
Yeah. And so, at the end of the day, it all boils down to, where the homes that they came from, and just being responsible and education.
Man, you can change your story though.
Doing the right
That's
thing.
as simple as that. Guys, the Bahamas Union of Teachers, the Bahamas Educational Managerial Union, and others are speaking out on the Ministry of Education's push to recruit teachers from Ghana, Canada, and the United Kingdom. You all remember that this is because the Ministry of Education in particular is moving away from the Cuban teachers after that controversy with pay and slave labor and all the rest of it, right? And so Stephen McPhee, president of BAMU, says the ministry should look at the region instead. We get the story from Janelle Longley and then come back and talk about it.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson suggesting that government's decision to look to countries like the United Kingdom, Ghana, and Canada to fill teaching voids left by Cuban educators may be outside of our price range, revealing that government only signed off on salary increases to the tune of just over $28,000 from the starting salary of just over $25,000, and the highest paid offering $43,000.
So I wonder which teachers are going to leave the United States, where their salaries range from $42,000 to $71,000 per year, with the average teacher's salary of $63,000. And Canada's salaries range from $53,000 to $95,000 per year, with an average salary of $69,000.
The United States investigations into alleged labor abuse have seemingly forced the government's hand, and they've cancelled all contracts for those employed. The announcements being made in Parliament just this week. The teachers' union president suggests, however, that the decision was made long before the announcement came out.
Recruitment exercise where a Bahamian delegation travels to Cuba was cancelled April and May of this year, 2025.
While Stephen McPhee, president of the Bahamas Educators Managerial Union, who also serves on a Caribbean Educators Union, believes that the price tag of said countries may be a strain on the public purse, he suggests that government should consider looking within the region. While the Bahamas has not signed on to the Caribbean free movement trade that allows Caribbean professionals to work within member countries with ease, he says the idea may be worth exploring.
In terms of salary base and benefits, pound for pound, we in the Caribbean, we sit on top of the others.
Now, year after year, hundreds graduate from the University of the Bahamas, and among those students are those who get grants from government to study education. McPhee says government should consider engaging those individuals to help out in the areas of special education, technical courses, and the sciences.
Also, pulled it now. A large number of them who've been probably sitting home unemployed citizens are going to now have the opportunity to be employed to fill the various voids.
The graduates from the University of the Bahamas, we have interviewed them already. They are our prospective hirees, although we do not go to our CARICOM partners. That's our agreement. And we're looking to fill those posts also with those persons who would have retired.
Janelle Longley, Eyewitness News.
And so there you have it. You all know that is a major deal. It was Marco Rubio who really, as Secretary of State, United States, said, listen, this really is akin to slave labor. These people are not being paid what it is that you think you're paying them. So, of course, the Bahamas then subsequently revised all of it and investigated. So now the Ministry of Health, as you all know, is pausing it. Yeah. But they will re-engage the health professionals, hopefully they're saying, and then pay them directly. But what the Ministry of Education has decided to do, it appears, is leave it alone entirely and go looking elsewhere. Now, of course, you all heard the president of Bahamas Educational Managerial Union, for example, say, why not look in the region? Thoughts?
So, Shanique, I mean, I believe our school system needs some fresh air. It needs. We've seen. We have a lot of hardworking teachers that go there every day and put their all into these kids. At the end of the day, we have kids that come to schools where as though, we don't know their past, we don't know their background, what the home situation is that cause a lot of issues. But at the end of the day, we do have some teachers that I think that do not belong in the system.
Don't.
That's true. So we need some fresh. Some fresh blood,
fresh eyes, fresh perspectives,
and a whole new outlook in terms of what could we do with problematic children rather than just turning a blind eye to them and allowing them to do. There might be some teachers or in some other parts of the world might know exactly what the solution is or help in terms of bringing some type of
some experience in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. I think we should welcome it. I don't care where they're from.
Where they're from.
Once they speak English. And they can actually put their 200% into a child in terms of, hey, if every time every teacher thinks if we save one, we'll be heading in the right direction.
That's so true. And sometimes we talk about even with crime, you need foreign eyes. Well, education is a good idea as well. Foreign eyes. Leslie?
Listen, all of my life growing up as a youngster through McCullough Corner and Pinedale, many of our teachers were foreign teachers,
Yeah.
Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad,
Canadian.
Antigua, a lot comes from Guyana. That's still the norm now in the school system. We had some from Canada, very few from the United States, and the reason being from the United States and Canada, the salary share was so much lower than those two countries. Unless you were going to pay room and board for those teachers that you need, there was a problem. But I think we should recruit most of our teachers from the region, but you also need that element, that international flavor to come to the Bahamas to give you that mix. Because they're the people you're going to be facing every day in your life. Yes. You go to Miami, you travel a lot. So, and they bring in their culture, they bring in their view as to how things are different and how their society and how they cope with kids that may have problems. I don't see anything wrong with it. Just get them in here and get it done because school is going to open in September. So we need them now.
August, September,
okay.
So they need to come now.
We needed them 10
Don't
years ago.
We need to give it right to try
and make sure we have enough, especially on the family islands. Remember, most of last year we didn't have enough.
Shortages, exactly.
Okay.
So now remedy that, man. Let's get these people in here, okay? Beyond the Headlines is back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Pull up a chair. Right after the break, we'll continue with Week in Review Fridays.
What you doing there?
I'm getting ready for this heat, boy. But you want to see what's in this box? The ghost pepper chicken sandwich, boy. Get an apple pie, fries, and ghost pepper chicken wing. You see it? You look at me? Four. Yeah, boy.
Try our new Ghost Pepper Chicken Box today. Available for a limited time only.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
We're back! Playhouse and Sound Investment presents your Back to the 90s Volume 11, July 12th at Breezers. From Volume 1 to Volume 10, Playhouse brings to you the most anticipated Back to the 90s party yet. July 12th at Breezers. Party with some of your favorite Playhouse DJs, Big L, AI, Pressure, alongside Extra Large and DJ Tank with special guest DJs like Tiny. Hosted by yours truly, Joe Cools, and my brother, DJ Bravo. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Rock the night away with Reggie Stepper. Performing live, Kimbo King, modeling, and so much more. Early bird tickets are limited. Get yours today. Tickets available. Cash and Go, Tropics, On the Bay, and any of your favorite Playhouse DJs. For tables or Skybox, contacts 819-2900. Playhouse, Back to the 90s. Sponsored by Sound Investment, Guinness, Hennessy, Paradise Games, Tropics on the Bay, Cash and Go, and Alive.
7.5 years, but I walk in here all of a sudden, total stranger. I'm calling you Rick and Sheila like.
Where you been? At Island Luck, we take sports seriously. Get ready to experience the thrill of winning anytime and any place. Bet in real time and live the thrill of every play while watching your winnings stack up. It's your chance to score big with fast payouts and a world-class experience. Get in the game and bet the Bahamian way with Island Luck Sportsbook.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, get this, you all. A woman who reportedly tried to help 3 men at a marina on East Bay Street was allegedly kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and thrown from a vehicle by the very men she sought to assist. Yeah, it happened this week. Police say the incident unfolded around 1 o'clock on Wednesday. The woman was at the marina when the men allegedly asked for help. Yeah, around 1 in the afternoon. When she was approached, they allegedly forced her into a black Japanese vehicle, allegedly sexually assaulted her, then pushed her from the car before fleeing in an unknown direction. We get the story from Linton Ritchie Jr.
I didn't hear about it.
What would you say to those 3 men who lured her into that?
Young men are not often trained. It's serious times we're living in.
Emotional and physical trauma. That's now the reality for a woman who thought she was simply performing an act of kindness. Police say 3 men asked her for help while at a marina on East Bay Street, but that request turned into a nightmare. The woman was allegedly forced into a vehicle and allegedly sexually assaulted. Eyewitness News took to the streets where residents shared their outrage and sadness.
That could have been their mother, their sister, their daughter. Come on. I'm sorry that they think that badly of a young lady.
With this heinous attack happening in broad daylight, women say it only confirms their biggest fear. Safety is never guaranteed.
It makes you afraid to do just simple activities like me walking to the store, God forbid. I would hate to believe. But then she was just trying to do a good deed.
This latest case comes amid a string of sex-based offenses, including a 36-year-old man charged this month with indecent assault and attempted sexual intercourse, and another man in Abaco accused of breaking into a woman's home and attempting to sexually assault her. Some residents say the penalties don't fit the crime.
I believe the government needs to tighten up and pull up their socks more or less. It's getting worse, and a strong message needs to be sent. That's what I feel.
And while some would argue that the woman should be more careful, those on our social media platform admonish those who victim blame. Some said that, quote, sick dogs, that's someone's daughter, mother, and sister. To the misogynistic victim blamers on this thread, why are you cascading the woman and not ranting and howling to the moon about those men who attacked her? Another person writing, why is everyone talking about the ones who didn't commit the crime? Y'all are sick-minded. Meanwhile, police say the men in this most recent case pushed the woman from the vehicle before speeding off. A manhunt is now underway. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, I tell you, it's just, it doesn't pay to be nice. Particularly when you're going to be out in public and speaking with strangers, women, even men who give the pretense of wanting assistance or something. Just listen, I say ignore, gentlemen. I say ignore, move on. But, let's hear the opinions and thoughts of Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquest, bringing them back in here in the discussion. Your thoughts about just how ugly that was?
Shanique, this is where, we speak about all the time in terms of, the legislation, in terms of as it relates to whether it be sexual assaults and things of that sort, whereas that we need to really put real penalties.
Yes,
I mean, I don't care, maybe we need to pull back out the cat o' nine tail, put them out there in Rawson Square, and I talking about tear them up. Because it's clearly, and this is what causes the issues, the social issues that we continue to have in this country. Because at the end of the day, you have a young lady trying to give assistance. This is where we say, okay, we want the village to come out and help. And this is why the village is not doing, the community is not doing because they're afraid. But these same type of acts that continue to take place on citizens who think let me help these young men who seem as though they're either lost or something of that sort. I mean, this is something where the government needs to go in and, put in, the laws are there. We continue to say the laws are there, but rape, lost, you should be lost in prison. First of all, you should get beat. in Rawson Square, and if you ever do come out of Fox Hill,
that part,
you need for a life you, depending on what it is you do, you need to be monitored. You need to go in a little area all by yourself. You should not be around, especially those who continue to. We have persons who do this. That's what they do for a living.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, but they
can't. The last fellow used to do it all the time.
No.
That one who was mess with the woman all the time. That's psycho. Remember who went to Andres and they.
Yeah, but this is where we got to do something. I mean, you know, I'm saddened to hear, you know, that something like this would happen. You know, I have nieces. who would maybe try to render assistance where whoever it might be. But this is where we have this disconnect in our social community where persons are now, rather than we saying good morning, we become like New Yorkers. We become rude, stiff, and you know, like we don't socialize anymore. And this is what is causing the social ills that we have in this small little country. What one time ago, back in the 80s, 90s, everybody said hi, everybody tried to help. People pulled on the side of the road.
Friendly little country.
And help with flat tires. Now you see women, even men are scared to stop and help women on the side of the road when they're broken down.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the other day we had the young lady who was wanted for murder. I mean, we have the social element of our little country is withering away, and to me, it's almost gone.
You know, it is so disheartening that a lady tried to assist 3 men who were already running a game on her, and then drove her wherever they drove her, raped her, and then threw the car. She could have been dead. They have no conscience, they have no humanity. And that's what we have in our society. I trust that the police would catch them soon. And what has to be done, man. The law's got to be enforced to the fullest extent. We can't be playing these type of games. That's a mother. That's a sister. When is it going to stop? We got to stop it as Bahamians. All of us got to come together and say enough is enough. Or make it take it no more. Something has to be done. Feel so sorry for that lady, you know. And her family members too.
Very unfortunate.
Her family members, you know.
Well, gentlemen, as you all know, the political season is certainly, we are in the middle of it, right? It is progressing, but it's started. So a verbal showdown took place in Parliament this week. You all know, of course, the budget wrapped up. I think it was yesterday the Prime Minister wrapped it up. And this verbal spat, well, there were many, but it was between Prime Minister Davis and Opposition Leader Michael Pintard. The men clashed over each other's political performance and posing the question, who should lead the country following the upcoming general election? We get this story from Linton Ritchie, and then I want to hear your thoughts. Take a look.
Member of Parliament for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador could not put potable water or lay pipes in Cat Island.
Opposition Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard igniting a flame in the lower chamber Wednesday evening as he fired at Prime Minister Philip Davis, criticizing the nation's chief for what he deems a lackadaisical approach in his constituency of Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador. Pintard asking, could the country afford another term under Davis's leadership? However, the nation's chief did not back down. He immediately sought to set the record straight.
When Brave Davis lay pipe, he spent his own money. You don't use the corporation money.
His response, however, resulting in a tit-for-tat between the two, with Pintard putting Davis's commitments to the electorate under a microscope. Pintard emphasizing that from his view, some of those elected under the Davis administration have done more as a newcomer to politics than their leader. Davis, however, debunking the claims made against him, outlining his resume and hinted at his victory over Pintard's former challenge.
I was re-elected. People in Cat Island are wise people. Yes, that's why they rejected you.
And under a Pintard-led government, he says the promise is to bring hope to the islands he believes were neglected by its representative.
He's failed to create an economy that they can imagine a future there.
Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, Pintard says Davis in Cat Island has failed to create an economy where they can imagine a future. Now, of course, we discussed this story before. It's Week in Review, so we bring the biggest, more interesting stories on Fridays to just sort of give an overview once more and perhaps more in-depth analysis. And so, gentlemen, when we discussed this earlier this week, Wednesday, people were saying, but wait a minute, there's a lot happening in Cat Island right now. I mean, but your thoughts on what's going on between the Prime Minister Davis and Opposition Leader Pintard?
mean, Shanique, you have two. You have one person that's the leader of the opposition, and who was a minister at one point, and you have the sitting prime minister, who I think he has the power right now. Anything that he put to paper, it happens. At the end of the day, we still have the Bahamas in general is still faced with crisis as it relates to our people. The prime minister spoke with the social ills. At the end of the day, things happen in the House, but we still have people in our country that are suffering. And I think any government, I don't care whether it's the FNM, the PLP, the COI, the focus should always be people. At the end of the day, they can everybody that sits in the House, they have their homes and they're sitting, lights are on, things of that sort. At the end of the day, it should always be about the people. And right now, the Prime Minister has the power to make anything happen. We go back to talking about crime. We're talking about certain things. And this is the focus to me. And I don't want to get into the back and forth in terms of I want to focus on the people and what can we do to make our lives, that being walking on the streets or putting food on people's tables, in terms of making it better. And I think that's where the focus should be, rather than, we watch I call it the Hollywood of the Bahamas in terms of, what happens in Parliament. But at the end of the day, the focus should always be on the people of the Bahamas, making sure I want to walk anywhere on the street of Bahamas and feel safe. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to watch my brothers and sisters amongst me, whether they're in Angleston or whatever it might be, and not have to come around and beg, and make sure that they can feed their families, and not have to watch our young women prostitute their children in the Bahamas, which is another, is another big, griping issue that is happening, but we turn a blind eye to it. So that's my thoughts on what happens. I call it inside in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. But it's so dramatic. The leader of opposition being an actor himself. Mr. Davis is right now completing the airport in Cat Island. The roads are being paved, but he's not the type of person who's going to put all the emphasis on his constituency. The Bahamas is an archipelago of some 700 islands. You got about 18 main islands with men and women representing those areas, especially New Providence, where most of the work needs to be done, on some of the major family islands. So he will not try to banner the work in his constituency to the detriment of his colleagues on both sides of the island. I think it's just petty politics, but the leader of opposition saying what you should do. I was in his area a few months ago, and his constituency is pretty ugly right now too, with some of the things that should have happened after the hurricane that are still not there. That you have thatched roofs all around the place. He was there as a minister. It looked like he did a hell of a lot for his constituency that he represented for the last 10 years, but almost 15 years now. But again, this is just tit for tat. I really don't have time for those type of games. It doesn't help anybody, as far as I'm concerned. As my good buddy Mike say, it's for the people. And if you're not dealing with the people and advancing their welfare, I don't really want to hear it.
Well, speaking of the people, certainly, of course, whose record on housing is best came up. A war of words, again, brewing over the country's housing strategy after Housing Minister Keith Bell criticized the former FNM administration for what he described as a complete failure to deliver homes for the Bahamian people. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis pushed back. We get the story from Delana Roker, and then we talk about it.
The member opposite sat in the cabinet that built 0 homes.
None.
Not one.
None. But they killed
Not one. Not one government-built homes.
Dr. Minnis argues his government prioritized land ownership, giving Bahamians the opportunity to invest in property, build at their own pace, and create generational value.
We brought forth a law to declare all government subdivision tax-free. The second law that we were supposed to bring in place is we were going to legislate that every Bahamian, the young Bahamians especially, every Bahamian would get a piece of land free of charge within the government subdivision. If the property was worth $120,000, $140,000 and you got it free, it meant that you automatically had $120,000 equity, which meant you did not need any down payment. You met your down payment. Your only responsibility was to have a job and meet your mortgage payment.
Minnis says the policy was about empowerment, putting land back into the hands of Bahamians and keeping ownership local.
We also had architectural designs, at least 5 or 6 designs. Architectural designs cost $20,000. We were going to sell a plan to the young people. You choose whichever one you want. And we were selling that to you for $1,000. That was our plan. Now, you can sell your property. You can sell your property. But within the law, it would have distinctly declared that you can only sell the property to a Bahamian. In other words, the land must remain in the hands of Bahamian.
He pointed to Prospect Ridge as phase 1 of a broader plan targeting young professionals and first-time buyers, aimed at sparking a construction boom across the country.
We had already declared those properties were being sold at $30,000 to $40,000. Those properties were worth $160,000. You already had $120,000 equity, which meant you had to come up with nothing. Each subdivision was going to be designed in such a way that you were also going to have nursery care, preschool, so that all Bahamians again would have had opportunity for preschool education.
Minnis reaffirmed that land ownership was a key component of economic stability, opening doors for investment and long-term security.
It is a sin to see individuals owning 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 acres and you can't get 40 by 50. That is crap. You should own something in your country, and land is a creation, an opportunity for creation as wealth. You're entitled to that. Crown land is your land. It's not my land. It's the people's land. It's 2.5 million acres of crown land out there. It's your land. Let's develop it and give it to the people where it belongs.
Now, gentlemen, I do remember Dr. Minnis, when he was Prime Minister, had this wonderful sort of, I guess, display that talked about the Prospect Ridge and people and Bahamians finally having access to Western New Providence, you know, the lush life. Do the two compare?
You know, Shanique, I've always, in government homes or government housing, I've always had a little mixed feelings about it, because at the end of the day, what is considered government housing today is not cheap at all. You know, with inflation and the cost of building material, you know, it still puts the average Bahamian, who that being we said with the poor, it's still out of arm's reach at the end of the day. And this is where I've always been disconnected in terms of what we consider our strategy in terms of I guess giving people property is one thing. You can give them all the land in the world, but having the resources to actually develop that land, which is a lot of issues where you see a lot of the land around the Bahamas is privately owned. Outside
New Providence.
Yeah, inside New Providence. But a lot of people do not have the resources to develop it. So at the end of the day, we can give away all the land in the world. We have to find ways that we can help whether those people who are in the poverty, in what do you call it, in the poverty zone or areas, how do we get them into something that they can lay their heads comfortable at night? And that's what we have not figured out yet, whether it being creating government rentals or something of that sort. Because at the end of the day, we have a lot of issues where as though somebody might step through the cracks and they get a loan for $100 and some $1,000, but by year 2, they can't afford to keep up with whatever the payments are. They can't keep up with the maintenance of the home. The place is falling apart. So it's still, to me, there's still some disconnect there. What we consider low-cost homes, sure it's not, but you look at it and
No, it isn't anymore. I'll tell you, Keith Bell, and I hope to have him next week, because his budget debate was quite extensive, and a lot of things he wants to do, not only here, but Grand Bahama, right, and the Family Islands. But he said, listen, they have high-end finishes now, Michael and Leslie. They have countertops, marble countertops. Like, it's different. They have storm windows and all this bunch of stuff. Leslie, so quickly jump in. No, it's not low cost anymore.
Listen, the Progressive Liberal Party government policy has always been, and it started with Yellow in 1968-69, when Sir Clement T. Maynard, God bless him, was the first member of parliament in that area. The land was always given to you free. That's why you get that big discount by saying it's a low-cost house. For example, the houses that is being built now over on Carmichael Road, you have about a beautiful 3-bedroom house that is really a fantastic house. with a big lot. It's totally fenced in. It's landscaped properly. That house would probably cost $300,000. The house is going for $200,000 because the government gave the land free to those persons who own those homes. That's always been the policy.
But it's still
always.
But it's still out of reach.
It's still out of reach. I accept that. But how do you get someone with a 3-bedroom house under that margin of funds? Because $200,000 is a lot of money. How do you qualify? Most payments are not qualified.
Well, I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what happens.
I'll tell you, gentlemen, this is why. Because a lot of people, when I remember having someone from Urban Renewal here, this was some months ago, and they talked about what was happening in housing and how home repair, and the way the people responded and reached out. So I want to do that again for you all next week, so that you learn how you can have access to homes, whether it's rent to own, wherever you fall on that. I promise you to do that for you. Also, let's continue looking at the tropics as well. Look at that again also next week.
But let me also say that approximately about 50% of the homes that are sold to those Bahamians, they end up losing it at some point with the government, because it always took you, your brother, and one sister to come up with a deposit, and you got to put your 3 salaries there to pay for this house. Then one of them get married and they move out, another one get married, you on your own, and that's how many Bahamians could not afford. They were never eligible, but we tried our best to make them eligible by getting other persons in their family to go and sign that document for them to own a home. And that's a serious problem, and it's still the same problem today.
Gentlemen, I thank you both very much. Obviously, of course, Hot Topics, Week in Review Friday discussion. So it's always exciting and always just a different look at the stories of the week. Thank you both very much. When we come back, we're going to talk about a women's conference that's happening tomorrow. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience, with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. I hope you're enjoying tonight's show. We're going to shift gears now and talk about, you all know, of course, once you hear the name, you will know that, listen, it's time again for the Broken No More Conference. It's a conference that happens every year here by a Bahamian, DeGeneres Jones. She always brings a guest with her, and she has right here again this year. But DeGeneres, of course, is Bahamian. She works and lives out of Atlanta. But again, she also works here as well. So it's just sort of this whole thing that she brings women from the United States and the Bahamas together to share, to become empowered. And obviously, as I said, to get over the hurts and the stumbles that and the blockages that life sometimes throw at you, just to be empowered to do more. I remember one year she was here and she talked about how she doesn't think it's wise for people who were once entangled or in a relationship to sort of resume that relationship or make up again. And I'm like, are you kidding, DeGeneres? People always have second chances in relationships. What are you talking about? Let's see if she still feels that way. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, DeGeneres Jones. Please, DeGeneres, introduce me to your guest, also from the United States.
Hi, yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, Shanique. And I do have my sister in Christ and my blood sister, Stacy Grant. She is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Say hello, Stacy.
Hello. Stacy, it's good to have you here.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
I don't know if you were here for that conference. By the way, Stacy, what are your thoughts? Before we get into this year's conference, DeGeneres, when she was here a couple of years ago for the conference, she said, Shanique, if you have broken up or if you were divorced, you need to just remain there that way and move forward. You believe that?
I think you need to go through a healing process, be healed from the brokenness, and then you can move forward into a new relationship.
So two people cannot come back together, like it cannot be restored.
Yeah, I believe that they can be restored, but again, that's counseling. You want to get counseling. You want to get, somebody that really, not biased, to have these conversations with and see, what you can work out as far as coming back together.
Yeah, it's important, regardless of whether you decide to maybe re-engage with someone, whatever you do, remarry, whatever. The point is, though, there must be two whole people coming together to make things happen so that you're happier moving forward and you really have this wonderful relationship that we all desire, right?
Yeah.
But ladies, of course, this year is a whole different focus. There's a lot on top, a lot's happening. DeGeneres, again, it's good to see you. Welcome back to the show. Let's talk about Broken No More 2025.
Yes, Broken No More 2025. We are reaching women that has been hurt, past hurts, that has been divorced, that has been separated, and women that is really hurting in silence. I know many years and many women that I have come in contact with, they have no one to reach out to talk to help in their brokenness, help in their silence. And really and truly, they are being silent because of all the pain that they're going through. And so this year at the conference, the theme, Broken No More, we are here to say to you, you no longer have to hurt in silence. You no longer have to remain hurt, remain broken. But God can heal, God can bring healing, can bring restoration in your brokenness so that you can move forward.
This has been the overriding theme every year, even though the focus is different, but this sort of like, listen, you can mend again, you can heal, you become this beautiful whole woman moving forward. What has the response been from the women in the Bahamas?
Oh man, we have registrations. We are almost locked out of registrations. And not only, the response has been really, really amazing because right now I facilitate a women's Bible study via Zoom and also a prayer call every Friday morning. And the women has been coming out, that's been turning out. And I also disciple young women, and I have actually been discipling 3 of our teenage girls here in the Bahamas. That one has just graduated from high school and 2 that's still in high school. And when I tell you the transformation that's been happening in their life has been, overwhelming and transformative. I have 2 of them that is going to be baptized tomorrow morning. And so God is really moving in the lives of women and the young women I see here.
Yeah, really awesome. Women are everywhere, really, are hungry, Stacy, for just to kind of get what it is that they need to be empowered, to be enriched, to be whole women and move forward and attract all that they desire?
Yes. I truly believe in sisterhood. I truly believe in being my sister's keeper. So with these women, we make time for these women. We mentor these women. Phone numbers, we give them the phone numbers, and we are talking to these women directly. Like, listen, call us. You need someone to talk to, call, and we will make time for you. And DeGeneres also mentioned that we just started a prayer call, and I am the host for the prayer call. And listen, amazing, amazing. These women are engaging and they're being a part. And once again, it's not only here in the Bahamas, but we have women that are all platforms. They're on all of our platforms from all over. So I thank God for that.
It's really great. Just bringing women together is nothing more powerful than women with a single focused and to go and obviously make an impact wherever they are. So let's look at the focuses or what the focus will be. Several things and several prongs this year to rebuild a woman learning how to rebuild her identity in Christ, no longer defined by the pain that she's gone through, but standing on God's promises. Let's talk about that, because a woman who was hurt, and I imagine you mean hurt through, relationship or anything really that can hurt a woman, but mainly obviously the relationship that's not worked out. And sometimes a woman has her identity tied up in that. How is this conference going to help her address that and walk away healed so that she is poised to stand on God's promises for her life?
Well, first of all, we are having testimony segments, and that we have a young lady that's going to be talking about her own personal testimony of her and what God has brought her through. And in that way, I'm certainly the women there will be touched and rejuvenated. But not only that, a lot of us, we lose our self-worth, when we find ourselves moving away or not having the relationship that we thought we would have had, especially for persons that were married and going through divorces. We're not hurt about the divorce, but we're hurt about what we thought or what we anticipated that divorce would have been. And so that cost us, to lose who we are. And so we coming back, trying to help them to understand that, listen, your divorce, that doesn't define who you are. You're not having that forever after that you thought, your life would have been. That's not the end, right? But you can find your identity in knowing who God is and understanding who He is, the death, the resurrection, that He had died for you and that He loves you with unconditional love.
Yeah, let's talk about, Stacey, you want to add anything to that?
Not at this time.
Well, let's just move on, because you're also teaching women how to overcome fear and discouragement through biblical strategies and principles towards a victorious life.
God says that He's not given us a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind. And so just encouraging them, listen, if you fall, you can get back up. You don't have to be afraid that, hey, I have failed. Because many people believe that I have failed if I have failed. I have failed if I have not accomplished something that I put out there to accomplish, or I've not accomplished my goal, and so I've failed. If a child fell down, Shanique, and get a bruise, they might cry for a minute, but they get up. And they either run to their mummies or run to their parents, but they get up. They don't stay on the ground and stay down there. And so just as that child gets up, we're saying to you, you can get up. You don't have to stay there in your failure. You don't have to stay there because you have not reached what you thought was your goal. Maybe that's not what God had designed for you, but you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be afraid to move on. And for many of us, we're afraid to move on, but you don't have to be afraid to move on.
Stacey, so many women, again, these stumbling blocks, and you stumble, whether it's family hurt, whether it's maybe the job that you so loved and somehow you were dismissed, or just having an issue on the job with your coworkers, or again, the home life, And so women find themselves shame and having self-doubt and hurt. How do they walk through this? Because that's another focus, teaching them and giving them those nuggets that they can walk through that, through when these things may happen, that they do not become again stuck there.
Yes, I believe in transparency. First of all, I am transparent about my story and what I've went through, and I also leave that door open for them to also be transparent, because the only way they can be healed is if they talk about it. If they continue to keep what they have faced and the struggles that they're having on the inside of them and to themselves, the healing is not going to happen. But if they would be transparent to that person that they feel comfortable talking to, that's where the healing will take place, being transparent.
Ladies, speak on the fact that healing is a journey and not a destination. Like, I want to hear each of your interpretation of that. Any moment.
Oh, you gotta go.
Go ahead.
Many times it's like, we're traveling, you decide that you're going to go to a destination. And for many of us, we think that, okay, it's gonna take 2 hours to get from the Bahamas to Atlanta, right? But in that process of our healing, even though it says 2 hours, sometimes we have roadblocks, sometimes we have sidetracks. So it doesn't automatically mean sometimes the flight is delayed. And so that journey from the Bahamas to Atlanta, it is not going to be instant. It's not going to happen as you thought it would happen for many of us, but it is a time, it's a journey, meaning that timing is everything with God. It doesn't happen as you want it to happen, but in its right time. But you have to continue to trust in God's timing for your healing, and just how we trust on that airplane to take us from one point to the next point. We have to trust God and believe that God is able to bring us back to wholeness.
Amen. Just know that your timing, our timing, is not God's timing. God's timing, listen, it can be, that healing process can be 10 years from now for some people. But I say, don't lose hope. Don't give up. Keep trying to find that outlet that will help you in that process of healing. Okay, God's ways is higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And I encourage you women to, just don't stay in the same place that you're in. Also, there's something that I wanted to say. Let's be, don't do life alone. There you go. Don't do life alone. Too many times we try to figure it out on our own. Don't do life alone.
Go into that shell and stay there and whatever. But listen, give us some more information about the Broken No More conference, the location, the times, and that anything we need to know.
Okay, so the conference is gonna be held at Zion South Beach. That's on Zion Boulevard. That's tomorrow, June 21st, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so just come on, listen, I believe that God is going to be there. He's going to meet us there. And we're gonna have a powerful, impactful time. We have our speakers. We have Sister Tanya Miller, and she's from the Calvary Church in Centerville. We also have Albertha Rowe. Listen, we are going to have an impactful time. Minister Tamiko, and she is an educator and a woman, a mighty, mighty woman of God that is going to bring transformation to your life. So come on and join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Zion Baptist Church, Zion South Beach.
Thank you both. Thank you both very much, DeGeneira Jones and Stacia. Your last name escapes me. Grant. Thank you both very much, and good luck with tomorrow's conference. Again, Broken No More, starting at
10 a.m.
10 o'clock in the morning. A good place to hang out for a few hours. Yes. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in all week long and for hanging out. We certainly enjoyed having you here. And I look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday evening for the entire Beyond the Headlines team. I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a blessed weekend, everyone.
The Verizon Media Group, home of ILTV, Paramount Systems Limited, Eyewitness News, and Beyond.